Well, I've been in the business for 34 years now, and over the years we've built up our outpost company to the point now where we have like 250 outboard motors in our fleet. We have quite a few that are 40s and 50s, and we also have a whole bunch at our outposts that are 15s. We have some 99s, all Yamaha products. And our biggest challenge over the years has been skeg guards. The the guests, when they hit a rock in the summertime, they'll take off the skeg, and if they hit this bullet part right here where the gear case is right here, it shatters the bearing inside, and once that happens, of course, the engine won't shift anymore, and then this here whole bottom unit is trash, and that costs about $1,700 to replace. So that's a done deal. So over the years, I've tried many skeg guards. I think I've tried all of the metal ones there is, and stainless steel ones, and very expensive. They run around anywhere from 100 to 150 bucks each. And here's one of them right here on one of my older motors here. So what happens with the metal guards is they pretty much all have the same idea. You have a piece that fastens on the top here, and then you have a narrow band that goes down here, and a piece that protects the bottom of your skeg there. But what happens is metal on metal does not work. What it'll do is it'll transfer the shock. When there's a good hit here, it'll transfer the shock into your bullet right here, and it'll still take out your lower unit. And as you can see, over time, these pieces, these support pieces here, what happens is they're hitting rocks and they bend over to the side. And once they bend over to the side like that, then your motor won't steer properly. So it totally messes up your motor, and then you got to change that whole expensive piece. And then as you can see here, where the piece got hit here, it cracks right here. This piece here transfers the energy into your fin there, and it breaks it off right there. So overall, these do help somewhat. There's no doubt about it. But overall, metal on metal, we have found just is not the answer. So I've tried many other things. I've tried putting rubber boots I've made for these things over the years, and I finally came up with a plastic one that we've tested out now, and it works beautifully. It takes care of, I'd say, 80 to 90% of your problems with lower units. There is nothing that's going to help a lower unit. If you hit something with a 50 horse and you're going 30 miles an hour, obviously there's nothing that's going to protect it. I mean, it's going to take your whole lower unit off. But most of the impacts are at lower speeds, and most of the wearing of the fin is at lower speeds. And so I come up with a pretty good one here now that has helped us out a lot, and it works really good on the Yamaha motors. It even fits Hondas. Suzuki's, we've tried them on. It fits the same hub. Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. So what the piece consists of here right now is this piece here, which is made out of a high density plastic. And we've tried different plastics and came up with this one here that works the best. We wanted to get something that is pretty rigid, but not too soft, that it'll flop around on the skeg of the motor. And then we developed it so it's about a little over an eighth of an inch thick right here, the plastic. So this plastic will give it a cushion, and there's a good quarter inch on the skeg right here deep. So it takes quite a while to wear this off down to the metal. So what we found is hitting a rock with this here, it'll take the impact, and you get just enough cushion right there to save your gearbox 90% of the time, and that's the whole idea. And so this is a 40 horse here, and this motor here, it's got the same skeg as a 50 horse. This one here is developed specifically for the 40s and 50s. And however, it will fit on any other smaller motor or bigger motor, usually up to 100 horse. So when you're putting this on, you'll see it'll fit right on a smaller motor. Here's a 8 horse, for example, right here. So if you're putting it on a smaller motor, all the hubs these pieces of bullets are all the same shape, so it fits on there perfectly. And all you do on the smaller motors is take a hacksaw and trim it off to your desired length to your Skeg. And then if you get up to a bigger motor like 100 horse, where your piece does not go to the end, and you still want to use this here to protect your bullet, then just cut off this end piece right here and put it as far as it'll go up on your Skeg if you're putting it on a bigger motor. So to install one of these here, there's only one, there's no bolts. So what we do is we use an adhesive. And the only adhesive that I have found so far that'll work for this here, that'll stick to this polyurethane, is Proform PF225. And it's actually the same silicone that they use for gluing in windshields on cars, same stuff. So this is the only thing I found, and it's available at most hardware stores. We buy it at a piston ring in Vermilion Bay, and this stuff here works very, very well. So what you do is, when you first get your piece, put it on here and mark where your screw is, or where you check your oil, and you drain your oil right there. So what I do is put it on there, mark it, and then I take it and I use a big drill bit and I'll mark it, and then I'll drill it out right here to make a cavity there to fit your, so you can still change your oil or check for water in your lower unit right there. So just take each one of them, put it on there, take your drill and mark it and drill that out so you got a spot there. It takes about a half inch or up to a 3/4 inch bit to make your hole, and you can even take a knife and carve it out there too. It makes it, it's pretty easy to form. So once you're ready to install that there, take the Proform silicone here and put a good layer of it around your bullet here on both sides. And once you have that on there, seat it properly. Make sure you get it all the way on there. So sometimes if you have a Skeg that's maybe been welded on and it's a little bit thicker or whatever, just take a hammer and tap it on there until you feel it's seated. So that thing is all the way on there like that right now. Just like that there. Once it's seated good on there. Now this one here fits really well. If for any reason it wants to slide off again, say you had a welded Skeg and it's real thick and it doesn't want to stay on there perfectly, it wants to slide off, just take a ratchet strap. What I use, take a ratchet strap and put around it and put it about halfway there and just tighten her up like this here and make sure she's on all the way, and just leave that sit right like that there for about 8 hours, and that thing's not coming off. And then you have a real nice cushion here for your bullet, protect your Skeg, and you're set up. So after we had these on last summer, we never did wear one out, but we had some wear on some of them. So to get them off again, but the only way you can get them off again is take a propane torch and heat them up really good on both sides, and then just take a screwdriver in there and hammer it off. And that's how you're going to get it off again. So it's and this is a relatively inexpensive piece. It sells for $40 per part. If you buy 12 or more, they're $30 a piece. So it's a relatively inexpensive piece when you consider you're saving your gearbox and your Skeg, and it's designed so it stays way below your water intake on your engine there, so it's not interfering with that. Like a lot of times with these metal ones here, what happens is when they bend off to the side, then they disrupt the water flow going into your intake port right here, and your motor will heat up. So yeah, so they work out pretty good, and like I say, I test them out, and I'm really excited just for our own operation, because it's a major headache for us with these motors, and having to confront your guests with expensive lower units. it's a tough call when you're talking $1,700 to repair something. So it works out pretty good.